Good morning. Good morning. I hope that you're all doing well and that you can hear me and see the screen. My name is Ann Griesel. I'm the project manager for the CALS and LAS web team, and we're going to have a brief review this morning. So if you missed any of the last three presentations or training sessions that we've given, this will be a review for those, and it should last no longer than 20 minutes. I'm thinking that we'll probably get through this presentation in 10 to 15 minutes. It's just a nice way to see what we've discussed, and I am going to try something new and do a little poll or two. So I wasn't clear on how to make additional polls. So I have one at least, and then maybe I'll have to make a couple on the fly, which will be really easy. So we'll see how it goes. All right, we are at time, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, thank you so much for being here. We are very excited to have you and to discuss all of the fun things that there are to learn about your websites and keeping them healthy and legible and understood by so many. So thank you for your work and effort in that. I work with Christy Elmore from Extension and Outreach, and so her and I are teaming up to give these presentations in the future, and we will be giving the next one in 3 weeks from now. So we're excited to continue doing that. All right, let's see if I can move to the next slide. Oops. Just a minute. Maybe I actually have to show my navigator. All right. So we're going to talk about alternate text first, and then we'll go into reading levels and broken links. And then I'm going to do a quick review on how to get into Siteimprove. So if you haven't dove into Siteimprove yet, we'll give a quick overview of it. So when Christy gave her presentation, she talked about some things that are important about alternate text. There's an image here of a device that is used by those who are not able to visually see the website, but experience it through this type of technology. So you can see that there's Braille, and there's also ways that this machine will be able to speak to the person that is experiencing the website, which is why we need alt text. So when folks are navigating the site and can't visually see the image, we need to put some text behind the image so that these machines can actually give a description to the person, and it's our responsibility to provide that description. So we want to make sure when we do that, that it is accurate and brief and clearly expressed. So these things shouldn't be redundant or super long. You want to make sure that it's not over 125 characters. Most of the time, these screen readers will stop after that long. So generally, it's just a very short description in a sentence style. When you do put a period in that description, the technology does have a little pause, I believe, so that sometimes is helpful. You don't need to use any words such as image of or graphic of or logo of to describe the image, because the machine or device that the person is using is going to already know that that item is an image. So through the code and the technology that exists, we know that the content is an image. And we want to make sure to be grammatically correct, as I briefly mentioned. So make sure that you use normal sentence structure. So let's take a look at some examples here. And we're going to do our first poll and see if it works. So all of you that are on today can give it a try. See if you can actually see the poll or not and answer. I'm not sure if you can or not. It looks like somebody answered. So there's 3 options here. You can choose A, multicolored butterfly resting on a small branch. B, photo of smiling student sitting on a bench. C, logo, and it has the # Slack representing the information. So which alt text example is in fact correct? Okay. It looks like most of you answered. I'll give a couple more seconds here so that we can get everything in. We probably don't have to go the full 2 minutes if we don't need to. Okay. It looks like a couple folks haven't answered. You don't have to actually, you know, if you're not able to do the poll or don't want to, that's fine. All right, so I'll go ahead and close the poll. And oh, it must be waiting. And then I'll give the correct answer. Let's just give my little poll a second to get caught up here. Okay. Excellent. So most of you said A, which is correct. So multicolored butterfly resting on a small branch. And let's take a look at why the others aren't correct. So B isn't correct because we didn't need to put photo of. By putting photo of that alt text, it's just additional extra wording. And usually what happens is the screeners will repeat that. So it'll already tell the individual that the item's a photo. So they'll say image and then photo of. And so we don't want to have that repetition for them. It's annoying when they navigate. Also, Slack, what's wrong with that? So when there is text in a graphic, so when there's actual text embedded, you want to make sure that you only put in the alt text exactly the text that's on the image and in the overlay. So those are our final, and so here's what it looks like correct. And I didn't put a period at the end of these. Most of them are just a single sentence. But if you had a couple sentences, you'd want to do that. Okay, let's move on. So we're going to look at reading levels. And all right, sorry. Okay. All right. This thing was asking me too many questions. All right. So when we look at reading levels, Josh Tenney talked to us about this, and Josh has taken another position, and so he's no longer like with our team for these particular training sessions, but he has given us some valuable information and left it with us about these reading levels and our websites. So we want to take a look at the text and the level and how is that determined? And generally it's determined through what he had mentioned, a few different things: total number of words, the sentences, the syllables, the structure. So there's complexity to your text. I'm sure vocabulary is going to play a role into that too. And so a lower grade means that your text is easier to read. And as Josh had mentioned, he said that the Kincaid level is based on the US grading grades, so like grades 1 to 12. So for our next poll, we have a question. If you were here for his presentation, you heard this. If not, you can guess your best guess. So I'm just going to make another poll here, and we'll see if you can answer the correct one. And I'm making these polls very simple for the sake of time so that you can just choose A, B, C, or D. So we'll get this done. All right. And we'll open the poll. So even for a college audience, he said it is recommended to aim for a grade of A, 10, B, 12, C, 8, D, 6. So 10th grade, 12th grade, should it be at a sophomore level, a senior level, kind of middle school level of 8 or 6? We'll give you a couple more seconds. All right. There we go. Now we have just as many that took the last poll, so I'll go ahead and move on and close the poll. Let's see if you can see the poll results. Hopefully you can. I'm not sure. So there's the you all did very well. The correct answer is C, 8. So it seems low, right? Like you would think that you'd want maybe a higher level grade level, but ultimately what it boils down to is when people are reading a website or a digital content, studies are showing that they're not wanting to have it difficult to read. They want the information to be easy, something they can look at potentially on their phone. You can see there's a woman here on her phone. And so their mindset is not, I'm going to sit down and read a publication. Their mindset is, I'm going to get the information I need quickly. So they want it to be clear, concise, and legible, something that they can access and read very quickly and on the go. So that's why we want to keep it at a grade 8 level. Okay. All right, let's see. I do have one more poll. Okay. So let's move on. Sorry, it's a little bit disjointed with the polls, but I thought it was kind of fun. So I wanted to try it. I haven't done polls in WebEx before. So what is a broken link? A broken link is often called a dead link. So basically what this means is that someone cannot access whatever is behind the link. So if you put a link on a website and the site was, the link that you added was to a website that's no longer, or they've changed the URL path, then it's going to show broken on your website if they didn't redirect it. So there's a couple different codes that are most common that are used when you receive your broken links reports. One is a 301, which means that it's a permanent redirect. So it redirects automatically to the new URL path. A 404, it's the page isn't found, so it's not available at all. And a 403 is forbidden, where the server refuses to fulfill the request. So the question is, and I'll make it here really easy. Choose your answer. Think about it. I'll give you a second. So it'll be A, 301, B, 404, or C. All right. So you can go ahead and answer the poll if you feel like inclined. Which error is given if you do not have rights to edit the website? So you can't edit the website. Couple more seconds. Okay. So the correct answer is C, 403. So you'll get a 403 if you can't actually edit the website. So for example, if you're trying to go to an intranet or an internal site that's protected and you need a password for it, and someone tried to get in or visit the site without a password, that's going to show up on your report as a 403. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to fix it. It just means like that's what's going to show up on the screen to the person who tried to log in and couldn't get in. So that's what a 403 is. And with that, that is the end of our polls. I'm not going to save this. There we go. Okay. Great. So now let's take a look really quickly at how to get into Siteimprove. If you haven't been into Siteimprove before.
And can I ask a question? I wasn't sure what, so from that last slide, what are we supposed to do with that information?
Yes, good question. What are you supposed to do with the information from the slide? Great question. So when you get into Siteimprove and you look at your broken links, the way that I look at these errors is really a matter of priority. So if you see broken links are 404s, that's going to be your highest priority because that means that those links do not work. So some like they don't work and they should work. So it means that they're not actually getting to the information, like it doesn't exist. So the link that you're sending to folks doesn't exist. And that could be for various reasons. That could be because it was mistyped. It could be because the page that you're linking to, the URL path changed and it wasn't redirected, and so it doesn't work. And so you're going to want to look at those first and see if you can discern what those URL paths should be. And if they don't exist anymore, like perhaps you have old events or old news items and it was 15 years ago, and so the link doesn't exist anymore. In that case, honestly, I just remove the link. There's no reason to have it. There's no reason that you need it. So I just break the link. Just move it, just remove it from the page. 301 means that it's a permanent redirect. So it means, and we do this on our websites that are updated, and it's a nice thing to do for people because what it does is it allows those links that changed URL paths to still work. So if it was /about ISU and it changed to /about, if people type in /about ISU, we automatically are redirecting it to /about, and that will give you a 301. And so the system's going to track those 301. So you technically could change the link to be /about instead of about ISU, but it's telling you that it still works for the end user. So that's that. 403, there's a question, yes. And Sarah says, if you get a 403 broken link, you want to make sure that you're not using that link on a public facing page. Exactly. So if you are giving people a link to log into something, like you need to remember that the website that you are editing is a public face. If it's a public facing website, it's meant for general public. Sometimes people view department websites as the primary audience of faculty, but technically the primary audience is researchers from other universities and other places that may want to learn more about your department. It could be future students. It could be, general public looking to find information about an insect or something. And so that really, those should not be linked public facing, which is also why we don't have login links on our websites from Cows and LES Web Team, is to prevent bots also from looking for that word login and then trying to log in a million times until they get in. So we're trying to prevent that as well. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any other questions? We certainly have plenty of time. Okay. So let's dive into Siteimprove real quick. I'm not going to actually do a demo, but I'm going to show you the screenshots. So to get to Siteimprove, what you want to do is go to login.iastate.edu, and you'll be taken to your Okta dashboard, and it might have a lot more buttons on here than you see on mine, because I made a new tab, so I just put the ones I commonly use in a tab. But you're going to want to look for Siteimprove. So Siteimprove, the centered logo, that's the correct one. So it should look like this. Sometimes there's two options, but you want the one that looks centered. Choose that. And if you don't see it here, select Add Apps at the top, and then search for Siteimprove and choose the one that's the logo that's centered and add it to your dashboard, and then it will be there the next time. Once you log in, we encourage you to choose a dashboard. So there's several dashboards available to you, probably too many. But what you want is, if you know that it was the Cows and LES Web Team that designed your website, you're going to want to select the Cows and LES website editor dashboard. If you're working with extension and outreach, you're going to want to choose the extension content editor dashboard. Honestly, Christy and I work very, very close together, and the dashboards are very, very similar. However, if you are part of extension, there are specific policies added to your dashboard to be able to check for common errors on extension sites, like when you need to spell out extension and outreach, or abbreviations that need to be updated, things like that, that are specific to extension. So that will help you. And so I would encourage you to use the proper dashboard for those types of reasons. Once you select one of the dashboards, they all pretty much start out like this, where you're going to be able to see your different dials, so to speak, at the top to see how your Siteimprove scores are for accessibility. So this one is very, very good. We're at 99.2. There's no broken links. There's no misspellings. Broken links in PDFs, there's no misspellings, and this was taken a long time ago, so I think these are fixed now, but there was 5 broken links. And so you can see that this example shows at the bottom here, there's a couple links. You'll see that the HTTP status says 404 not found, so it's going to actually order the links in priority order, and I believe give you those 404s first anyway. So then you can start fixing your broken links. And if you scroll down, you'll see even notifications for these type of trainings. We put a little graphic on these dashboards to alert you to when the next training is and when the next session is that you can join. And that's all I have. So are there any questions? We've had some good ones. Okay. With that, thank you so much for joining. We will have another one of these webinars in 3 weeks, and I believe we're going to dive more into different types of links. So instead of necessarily broken links, different kinds. And like, for example, if you wanted to make a link to an email, or if you wanted to style a link in some cases, like on the platforms, you can style a link a certain way. So we're going to just talk a little bit about the different kinds of links. And We have other topics scheduled. If you have something specific you're interested in terms of making a landing page or how to place content or about specific types of cards, you know, when you make menus, what should you pay attention to, like anything, please let us know, because those would be great webinars, and we would like to give you webinars that you're interested in and that you're looking for information, more information about. With that, if you do have questions, please feel free to email websupport@iastate.edu. And I don't know if Christy's in here this morning, but I know that there is Extension IT. So you're going to want to email Extension for questions regarding extension sites as well. But even if you email web support, we'll get you to the right place. Okay. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.